Next speaker we have is Alex Freeman.
Alex Freeman, 10312 Idlewild. I wish Woodson Bradley was still here. I think she would love to hear some of this. Town commissioners and other public officials rely on the integrity and transparency of testimony endorsements during meetings. If a paid endorsement is presented without disclosure, it may constitute an attempt to mislead or deceive the commissioners and the community, a fact that can raise legal and ethical concerns regarding fraud or undue influence. Paying a public or quasi-public official to provide endorsement related to the land use or development, especially if undisclosed and intended to influence government decision makers, can trigger laws against bribery, kickbacks, or improper influence in North Carolina. On May 13, 2025, a local developer reached out to a University of Charlotte director, a public employee. On May 14th, a follow-up email was sent. 18 minutes later, the University of Charlotte director responded back. I usually charge $2,000 for the letter and an additional $1,000 for speaking at the rezoning hearing. On May 19th, one of the two developers involved reached back out stating, we will send you bullet points for your letter. Please confirm in the $3,000 price that it will include the letter, 5 minutes speaking at the decision on June 9th, and a meeting to discuss the letter with the commissioners at the Matthews Town Hall. On May 23rd, the university director responded back, please see attached the draft of the letter. Please revise as you see fit. On May 25th, one of the developers returned the draft with their comments for review. On June 3rd, one of the developers contacted the university director to finalize and accept edits and then to go ahead and send this letter to the planning board and commissioners. Later that day, the university director, a public employee, emailed what appears to be all commissioners, Jay Camp, Rob Will, and then town manager Becky Hawk. Per North Carolina General Statute 120C-100, a lobbyist is an individual who engages in lobbying for payment and meets any of the following criteria. Represents another person or government unit but is not directly employed by that person or government unit. But it's more complicated than just the potential lobbyist issues because, again, we're dealing with a public employee who appears to have taken money from private developer to publicly support and influence public officials for a private development. On June 9th, this public employee came before this commission to influence the vote on the Lilly Townhome, stating, I am the director of the Childress Klein Center for Real Estate at UNC Charlotte. I'm here to speak in support of the Lilly Townhome development. After the emails were sent and the university director came to speak, 5 of you voted in favor of the Lilly Townhomes. One day after the vote on June 10th, one of the developers with the other CC to the email stated, we will be using your services again soon. Gary and I own this property in a TIC. My check for half will be coming from Lilly Holdings LLC, Gary's check from CBS Holdings LLC. Thanks again, Matt. Folks, I believe we need to work to understand what has happened here. I believe our commissioners might have a duty, a fiduciary duty even, to investigate this matter further. The town of Matthews and or the town attorney and or another representative of North Carolina need to ask questions related to the conflict of interest, ethics violations, transparency and disclosure requirements in public meetings, potential bribery and corruption laws, potential fraud and misrepresentation on statutes, unfair or deceptive trade practices, potential conspiracy or aiding and abetting, and of course, improper influence. Certainly, if nothing else, the lobbyist portion needs to be understood. If this is something you want to look into further, and again, I think you might be obligated to do so, if not legally, certainly from an ethical standpoint, as elected officials in the town of Matthews. I believe the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Ethics, Policy, and Compliance, Erica Solosky at the University of Charlotte, would be a good starting point. I am happy to provide her information if requested. As stated, I believe we need to understand more of what has occurred here. I believe the town attorney may be required to have some interest in this. I don't know. I also believe that we need to understand how the developers found the University of Charlotte director, a public employee, and if there was any coordination in pointing them to this person, who it was that did it, and what they might have known. I also believe we need to understand if others were compensated for their public support of this project. I believe the town of Matthews has already taken steps to protect any data relevant to this development of these individuals, as it has a legal obligation to do so. I would also like to notify all town employees and commissioners to preserve their relevant records, both professional and any private records as it pertains to this development. Communication, my time is up, but please retain your records.
Mr. Mayor, can I be recognized? Thank you. Okay. That was what I just heard, and I'll reflect some of it back, is that a UNC Charlotte director of a program and a developer entered into a private agreement to speak upon, provide technical expertise with relation to a project. That I am not aware of any sort of fiduciary duty that arises out of this board or in myself to do any investigation into this. It is not uncommon, as a matter of practice, for university professors in public or private settings to compensate for their private time to provide services within their learned expertise. As far as allegations related to potential bribery, fraud, unfair and deceptive trade practices, et cetera, what I did not hear is and I'm glad I didn't hear it because it would be false, is any implication that this board or any Matthews official was involved in any of this allegation here. And moreover, and again, it is not uncommon for technical experts to appear and come and speak on behalf of really any number of things. In court, we have that all the time, in the nature of expert witnesses. And so I'm happy to receive any information that anybody finds untoward, but as far as a fiduciary duty or any requirement this board has to investigate anything, that is unknown to me as I sit here today, and thank you.